Marshall Peak, Chapter 2410, ZU. Published by Divine.Tao Library. Translator, Salavan and Godbrandy. Translation checker, Pew Pew Lasergun. Editor and proofreader, Leo of Zion Mountain and Dale Ligerkeys. Cao Yang had to muster all of his strength to get up, looking at Yang Kai in fear and disbelief. Now, he was well aware that Dong Shan didn't get injured because he was caught off guard. Even if it was a head-on fight, he wouldn't stand a chance against this young man. When did someone so extraordinary appear in the Northern Territory? Which sect did he hail from? Although they were both third-order Dao Source realm cultivators, he couldn't take a single attack from the other party. If this type of person cultivated to the Emperor realm, what kind of strength would he have? The names and faces of the rising stars from each of the top sects flashed across Cao Yang's mind. However, none of them resembled Yang Kai. Where is this friend from? If you leave your name behind, my Seeking Passion sect will surely repay the kindness you have shown us today. Knowing that he didn't stand a chance against Yang Kai, Cao Yang brought up the name of his sect, hoping that it'd deter him. After all, if Yang Kai decided to kill them there and then, there was nothing they could do but to accept their fate. Fan Xin coldly snorted, "Weren't you bullying a lone woman with your numbers just now? Your Seeking Passion sect is really something." Her mocking words embarrassed the people from Seeking Passion sect, but as their strength was lower than the other parties, with their two strongest fighters already heavily injured, they didn't dare to make a fuss. Despite their faces burning with shame, they had to bury their anger deep in their hearts. "There is no harm in telling you. Before Fan Xin could finish, Yang Kai waved his hand and stopped her. He stood still on the deck, and since the beginning, he had yet to move his feet. He looked at the people below and said calmly, "We're just travelers who were passing by." Passing by, huh? Cao Yang clenched his bloodied teeth, aware that Yang Kai didn't want to reveal his background. Since he was weaker than him, he couldn't force him and could only glare at him as if to burn his image in his mind. He then cupped his fists and said calmly, "Friend, your way of doing things is exceptional. This cow's horizons have been broadened. Since this friend has taken a stand, we will retreat and leave this matter to you." After some polite words, he waved his hand and took his leave with the other Seeking Passion sect disciples. Fan Xin gritted her teeth, her expression indignant, but seeing that Yang Kai didn't have any intention to kill, she spoke no more. Once those guys were gone, Yang Kai explained calmly, "Seeking Passion sect is one of the top sects in the Northern Territory. Given your identities, it's ill-advised to start an all-out confrontation with them. If they killed these people, a war might break out between Ice Heart Valley and Seeking Passion sect. If two sects of this caliber started a war, the flames of said war would engulf the entire Northern Territory." The only thing Yang Kai didn't understand was why those Seeking Passion sect's disciples were harassing this disciple of Ice Heart Valley. "Senior brother, many thanks for lending your assistance. May I know your name? ZU will definitely repay this favor in the future." The girl below cupped her fists as she expressed her gratitude to Yang Kai. Without his help, she would have had to spend a lot of effort in order to escape. By relying on her forbidden technique, she could indeed get away from Cao Yang and the others, but at the same time, she wouldn't be able to muster any strength for the next 3 months, making it impossible for her to escape the Northern Territory. "Senior sister, we're all one family. You don't need to be so polite," Fan Xin smiled, gazing at ZU with a gentle expression. "All one family?" ZU frowned, unsure as to what Fan Xin meant. Fan Xin put on a happy face and pointed at the other girls on the ship. "Everyone here is from Ice Heart Valley. Looking at your secret techniques and secret arts, you should also be a disciple of Ice Heart Valley, right? Therefore, we're all one family." It had only been a few days since they'd arrived in the Northern Territory, and they'd already met a strong senior sister from the same sect. Fan Xin was delighted and didn't plan on concealing anything, so she directly told ZU who they were. What surprised her was that ZU's expression changed drastically in the next moment, and she raised her guard while quietly retreating a few steps, biting her lip as she asked, "Are you here to capture me?" Fan Xin was dumbfounded. "Senior sister, what are you talking about?" ZU said, "Since we are members of the same sect, I won't attack you. Go back and tell Honored Master that ZU was unfilial and caused her much trouble, but one day, after I have cultivated to a sufficient level, I will return and fulfill my filial duties." Then, her tender body flashed, turning into a streak of light that shot towards a distant place, disappearing in the blink of an eye. Yang Kai and the rest looked at one another in puzzlement. This senior sister, what did she mean just now? Fan Xin furrowed her brow. They went out of their way to help her, but instead of thanking him, she became vigilant after discovering that they were from Ice Heart Valley, then spoke some strange words, leaving them confused. It seems something foreboding has happened to Ice Heart Valley, Yang Kai said gravely. Fan Xin looked at Yang Kai in surprise. Senior brother Yang, how can you tell? Yang Kai replied, Ice Heart Valley and Seeking Passion sect are both top sects in the Northern Territory, so it is unlikely that they would fight openly. Yet, a group of people from Seeking Passion sect was besieging that ZU girl just now. Coupled with what she said before leaving. Fan Xin's expression fluctuated as she seemed to have a better understanding of the situation now. ZU was besieged by people from the Seeking Passion sect, and she became vigilant after hearing that they were from Ice Heart Valley. There was no doubt that something big had happened to Ice Heart Valley. Senior brother Yang, we should hurry to the master sect. Fan Xin urged. She didn't know what was going on, but she wanted to hurry to Ice Heart Valley and take a look. Due to Bing Yun, Fan Xin really cared about this master sect she'd never visited and hoped that nothing bad would happen to it. Yang Kai nodded, glancing towards the cabin. He was sure that Bing Yun had overheard everything, but he couldn't understand why she had completely ignored this matter. Shaking his head, he steered the ship towards Ice Heart Valley and accelerated. With Fan Xin urging him, Yang Kai could only increase the ship's speed, and 5 days later, a large city appeared before them. That's Ice Moon City. It's a 1-hour trip from here to Ice Heart Valley. Let's enter the city for now. Bing Yun's voice echoed in Yang Kai's ears. Hearing her words, he nodded and controlled the ship, descending outside the city gate. After a short while, Yang Kai and the group of women passed through the gate, entering Ice Moon City. As they entered the city, Yang Kai frowned and asked in a low voice, Senior, why are there so many Emperor Realm Masters in this city? He sensed the auras of 7 or 8 emperors, which wasn't normal at all. Bing Yun, who had concealed her cultivation and was hiding among them, shook her head and said, I'm not sure. In the past, Ice Moon City was the hub that connected Ice Heart Valley to the external world. Usually, it should be impossible for so many emperors to be here. Perhaps something big is going on. However, we shouldn't worry about this matter for now. I need a few more days to recover completely. When she made a move against Jiang Zhouzi a few days ago, she had aggravated her injuries. If not for that, she would have completely recovered by now. The next few days were critical for recovery, so she hoped that nothing unexpected would happen. In that case, let's look for a place to stay first. After Senior recovers, we'll head to Ice Heart Valley, Yang Kai suggested. Bing Yun agreed. The group looked for an inn and settled in. Although she was concerned about her master sect and wanted to go there as soon as possible, Fan Xin didn't dare to do anything rash. As her honored master was in the midst of recovering from her wounds, Fan Xin could only hole up in the inn with her sisters and wait. Yang Kai didn't go out, either. He was a third-order Dao Source Realm cultivator at the moment and needed only a slight push to enter the Emperor Realm. Thus, he cultivated even harder, hoping to glimpse the secrets of the Emperor Realm as soon as possible. 3 days later, Yang Kai, who was cultivating in his room, suddenly opened his eyes, a puzzled expression on his face as he stood up and exited the room. After a short while, he arrived in front of another room. Before he could knock, Bing Yun's voice echoed from inside, come in. Yang Kai opened the door and went in. After turning a corner, he saw Bing Yun sitting in meditation and asked, Senior, have you recovered? Bing Yun shook her head, I'll need another 2 or 3 days. Yang Kai was stunned. In that case, why did Senior summon me here? He came here because he heard Bing Yun's call, so he thought that she had already recovered, but that did not seem to be the case. Bing Yun frowned, not replying to his question and instead motioning to him, sit down. I'll explain slowly. Yang Kai obediently sat down in front of her. After hesitating for a short moment, Bing Yun began to speak. Back when I arrived in the star boundary from Heng Luo star field, I was merely a third-order origin king. As you also know, such a cultivation can allow you to move about unchallenged in the star field, but here in the star boundary, it's nothing special. Yang Kai nodded, expressing his understanding. People like Qi Yue and Io were true overlords in Heng Luo starfield who could make the starfield shake thrice just by stomping their feet, but after coming to the star boundary, they were having a hard time just finding cultivation resources. Even the number 1 master at the time, Wu Dao, eventually fell. Bing Yun continued, I encountered grave danger once and almost lost my life not long after arriving here. However, a great senior saved my life. That senior did not hesitate to damage his foundation to rescue me back from the gates of death. Afterwards, under his care, I slowly recovered and learned many important things. I, Bing Yun, have always been an independent cultivator, never relying on anyone on my martial Tao, but if there is someone I can consider my master, it would be that person. It is a pity that the senior expert taught me for only half a year before leaving to wander the world. Yang Kai praised, that senior expert was truly a magnanimous person, helping others without asking anything in return. Bing Yun showed a faint smile, indeed. He didn't save me because he had something to gain from it, and given my pitiful strength at the time, I was no different from an ant to him, yet that senior was willing to go so far for an insect like me. Thanks to that half a year of guidance he provided, my path in the star boundary became much easier.